Welcome to the Pro Aging Podcast. I'm Steve Gurney, founder of Positive Aging Sourcebook. We're excited that you can join us for our interactive discussions with pioneers and thought leaders on a wide variety of topics related to aging and longevity. Today, we take a behind-the-scenes virtual tour of the top-rated Universal Design home in North America, the Universal Design Living Laboratory. And we do that with Rosemarie Rossetti, who is a powerful, internationally recognized expert on accessible and universal design. I want to thank Ali Saltani with HandyPro for co-sponsoring and co-hosting this renowned speaker. So let's jump into the discussion with Rosemarie. So Rosemarie, she's an internationally renowned expert on accessibility and universal design, and she really speaks from an authentic point of view, as we're going to learn, but she uses a wheelchair. And so she's really understands this from a firsthand perspective, which she's going to share today. And Melissa and Ali, if you two would like to share some high points about her bio, and then we'll turn it over to Rosemarie.
Yeah, when I got the when she got connected with me on LinkedIn, when I looked at her bio and what she has been doing for the this industry, it's very, very remarkable. And as you mentioned, she experienced it firsthand herself, and it looks like that she and her husband built a home for themselves as a universal design, and it got an award to one of the best, or maybe the best house in America as far as aging in place and being universal design. So it's a great honor, as I mentioned at the beginning, that she connected with us and she accepted that she will do this for us and have us as a sponsor and co-host with her. I'm very delighted, and I can't wait to hear what she's going to offer. Melissa.
Dr. Rossetti and her husband designed, built, and live in the Universal Design Living Laboratory. Like Ali mentioned, is the highest rated universal design home in North America with 3 national certifications. She also is the author of the Universal Design Toolkit, which I'm sure she'll share with us other details of that.
Great. Well, I think the three of us are more than excited to drop off the stage and turn things over to Rosemarie. I want to remind our audience to ask questions. And just so you know, Karen wins the gold star today because she's already asked a question and is a glass shower door wall safe? So Karen, we're going to answer that question before the end of the day, but I want to thank you for kicking things off and just reminding the audience to just throw your questions in there, and we will address those throughout the program today. So I'm going to duck off the stage, and we'll turn things over to Rosemarie.
Well, thank you for that glorious introduction. It's an honor to be speaking from my home in Columbus, Ohio today. I am in my home office speaking to you from my heart. Yes, I am in a wheelchair, and I have been since an accident in '98. What I'm going to be sharing with you today is my home to serve as a case study. My husband and I led a design team, we're the general contractors, and have lived here now since May of 2012. So we just celebrated our anniversary. I want you to look at the photographs and the features, not just from the aspect of a custom luxury home, but you've got to make the imagination go forward. For any of you who are in the livable communities, in the senior housing, building condominiums, building assisted living, independent living, if you're working as an occupational therapist, it's up to you to figure out what is it about this house or this particular room or this particular feature that can be incorporated into your projects, either professionally or personally. So I'm going to switch over now to my screen so that you can follow along and take a very private behind the scenes tour of the Universal Design Living Laboratory. So let's make that transition happen. I do have points in this program so that they're will be some pausing so that Steve is going to ask me some of the questions that you have put into the Q&A or written in the chat. It's a very open discussion, so there is lots of opportunity during the presentation to inquire, to discuss, or to bring up another point that you'd like to make to add to the content. I know we've got lots of experts here. I'm just one, and my expertise is about the home that my husband and I built and live in. We think this home makes life easier, and it's also supporting aging in place. We built this home with the intention of never leaving it. Our intent is to stay in our home for our lifetime. And I've got to let you know, I probably surprised a realtor the other day who called asking me if I owned the property at Clark State Road and was interested in listing it with her. And I answered her, no, we're going to stay here till we die. And she goes, okay, thank you. So this home is not for sale. It is a beautiful custom home on an 1.5 acre lot in a rural area on the northeast part of Columbus, Ohio. It is a beautiful property, 1.5 acres, and we have put in a home that is 3,500 square feet on the main floor and another 3,500 square feet on the lower level. It's a classic Frank Lloyd Wright inspired arts and craft home. We have a 4-car garage. 2 of those bays are visible here on the front and 2 are on the side. It's the equivalent of a 4-bedroom home, but 2 of the bedrooms are converted to offices. As you're looking at my office live, Mark's is identical on the opposite side of the house. We both work from home, and we purposely put the home offices as far away from each other as possible. So let's take a look. To understand my story, it was June 13th, 1998. We just celebrated my anniversary of the injury. My husband and I were on our bicycles riding a bike trail nearby. We were actually celebrating our 3rd wedding anniversary that day. It was a beautiful Saturday, no wind, no rain, no threat of storm. And we were riding this bike trail when all of a sudden, Mark heard what he thought was a gunshot. And he got my attention. He yelled at me to slow down, stop. And it wasn't a gunshot at all. It was the sound of a 7,000-pound tree as it fell on top of me. Literally, in just one instant, I was crushed and paralyzed from the waist down. That's what the turning point was. That was the accident that led me on a journey, on a path of discovery to figure out now what. My whole life had to be transformed. My house wasn't working anymore. My business wasn't working. My body wasn't working. So I had to move forward. I was in the rehabilitation center at The Ohio State University the summer of '98, trying to imagine now what was life going to be like, paralyzed from the waist down. I came home. This was the house we were living in at the time. We had to put the electric porch lift on in order for me to get into the house. Originally, we had a temporary wooden ramp that the neighbors and friends had put together so that Mark could at least push me in the wheelchair to get me home. Now that ramp was so steep, it was kind of like the luge in the Winter Olympics. There was no independence there for me to get up it or to get down. So the modification had to be made with a $10,000 investment to put on an electric porch lift. The house was 2 stories, so right there, half of the house is inaccessible. I had a publishing company. My book was in the lower level in the basement, so that had to be dissolved because I couldn't go downstairs. The carpeting was so thick, I couldn't even roll on the carpeting in my wheelchair. Someone had to push me. I couldn't reach any of the wall cabinets to get anything out of the kitchen. The only room in the house that had solid surfaces rather than carpet was the kitchen with linoleum. So that was the only room that I could be independent in. Otherwise, I had to be pushed around. Doors had to come off. Furniture had to be removed. It was not a pretty sight for me. It intensified my disability. So we set out on a journey learning about universal design. Now, many of you are familiar with the term. Many of you have heard about it, read about it, and could probably tell me a bit of information because of your history. I'd like to introduce the history from the aspect of Ron Mace. He is an architect at North Carolina State University. As a child, he had polio and he used a wheelchair. He was a very smart man and came up with the idea of designing products and also homes and workplaces so that they'd be usable by the widest population, usable by all. It's a framework for design, not just for homes, but for workspaces and the commercial. It's also for products that we use every day. So it's for the greatest extent possible without using any specialized design. Why don't we use universal design as our base, our standard for any space, any environment, and any product? So in 1997, they officially adopted the 7 principles of universal design. And briefly, they are listed on the screen, looking at how simple the environment is, how it is to get around for many people, how intuitive the products are to use, how safe are they so that you won't have any physical harm, there'd be a tolerance for some error, the low physical effort for someone that might have some weakness or paralysis or arthritis. I'm going to be bringing up some of these principles as I show you the spaces in our home, so that we incorporated the principles of universal design as many places as possible. Now, many know the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1990, realizing universal design was the predecessor of the hallmark signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act. But you probably know this, independent homes, private residences do not have to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. This is for commercial spaces, for multifamily units, not for the single family. So when I was looking at the idea of building our home, we wanted to make it accessible for Mark and for me so that it truly was universal design. I'm 4'1" as I'm seated in this wheelchair. Mark is 6'4". So we are a wonderful model couple to showcase universal design for people who are short or people who are tall. We also wanted to have this home green and sustainable. So we went for a couple of green certifications. One of them you're probably familiar with is the U.S. Green Building Council, the LEED program. When I spoke to them, I said, where are the points for accessibility for a home? If we're building a home that's sustainable, how could it be sustainable? How could it be inclusive if it's not accessible? Hey, that was a point of contention. And I said, we should be getting points on our certification on LEED because we're building in accessibility. You know what? They agreed with me. They hired a consultant to work with me, and we were successful adding points to the LEED certification. So I wanted to make sure you understood that ADA is not universal design. However, ADA is the basis of accessibility. Accessibility is the basis of universal design. So we will see some features that ADA requires in multifamily units, granted, but then we're going to see above that. That's what universal design is. It's above the minimum. We look at ADA as the minimum standard, and now we raise it for universal design features. So let's move and let's take a look at this. The photo is my mother, Rossetti. She lived to be 98. For several years, she lived in an assisted living facility. I watched her as she aged, and many of you have parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles, and other people that are close to you as you watch them age. I could see the dementia, and it was obvious to me we had to move her from her home because she was no longer safe. She was starting to see hallucinations, and I could tell that there was no way she would be able to live independently ever again. We moved her into the assisted living, and I watched as I saw her arthritis get worse. I watched as she was limping quite severely, even walking with a walker. I watched as she needed help bathing, as she needed help dressing, as she needed help making decisions, and the dementia continued. Of course, this is what happens. We can't seem to stop it. We will all age in some way, hopefully to slow it down the best way we can and stay healthy. But these are the things that happen to people as they age. And as we look at aging in place, what can we do to support people's changes? Here's a very important slide. There's a lot to this one. One is the 5-foot turning diameter for the wheelchair. And these were spaces on the floor plan in red. The architect, Patrick Manley, would draw dotted red lines throughout the floor plan so we could see that there was enough space for a whole 360 turn in my wheelchair. Granted, I have a small wheelchair. I'm a small person, but it's also big enough for the power scooter that I have in my home. The other is the 30-inch by 48-inch, and this is important as you're making an approach to a sink or to a toilet. So we had to make sure these spaces were clearly identified on the floor plan. And then when you look at an adult in a wheelchair, granted, I'm only 4'1", but the average adult, in terms of what is the sweet spot of reaching, where is it that they can reach high and feel comfortable? So basically it's a 48-inch, 4 feet high. That impacts where storage is, where shelves are, where drawers are. Beyond that, the person may not be able to reach things. So that impacts your design of your kitchen and your bathroom and other storage areas. On the sweet spot on the low side is the 18 inches from the floor. That seems to be a very good balancing point so that you're not falling over forward out of a wheelchair. So as you're looking at design, keeping the storage within 18 inches from the floor and 48 inches from the floor is a good baseline. Most of the wheelchair heights from the seat cushion to the floor are 20 inches high. That impacts transferring to a bed, into a toilet, or onto a deck of a bathtub. And then whereas eye level, typically it's at 4 feet high. That impacts possibly your thermostat placement so someone could see the numbers on the dials. Again, our home, the Universal Design Living Laboratory, our website, please jot this down so that you can take a look at it later. It's UDLL.com, standing for the Universal Design Living Laboratory. Just this week, there are 2 new articles about aging in place. One is with the National Aging in Place Council that we just put on this week that has features on aging in place. There's over 100 articles, so you're going to have a wonderful heyday getting more information, more checklists to understand universal and accessible design as well as aging in place. So please hop on Universal Design Living Laboratory's website. If you're curious about the reason we're the top rated home in North America, it's these 3 universal design certifications. Zero Step was out of Michigan, Livable Design is out of California, and LifeFlex Gold was out of Colorado. On the green side, we did achieve a silver rating on the LEED and a gold rating on the National Green Building Standard program with the National Association of Home Builders. Let's go into the front door. That's where you would come as my guest. And anytime any of you are in Columbus, we are starting to open the house for small groups to come and tour again. This is what you will see. You can park right under the portico. We have a wonderful driveway. We have lots of tour buses here, so we had to make the driveway wider than the street so tour buses could get in. I also have a special treat for you. You can go on our website and take a virtual tour. Thanks to Google, they were here and took over 700 photos of the house. It was amazing, a 360-degree camera that shot pictures and then put them all together so that you can go into the virtual tour. This is what it looks like on our website. Just click on the top virtual tour and you'll see this same image. You then take your mouse, get on that X and move it to the front door. You know, you could play a little game while you're looking at our home. Our cat Kiko was loose that day, and I tell you, she's quite a photo bomber, and she was loose in a lot of the pictures. So go look for Kiko as you're taking the tour of our home and see if you could spot her. The front door, right at the entrance as you're parking there, you get out of your vehicle and you're going to step onto the pavers. These pavers were ADA compliant in that they're slip resistant when they're wet and they're easy to roll on. They don't cause a lot of vibration when I roll across the pavers. Not only are they at the portico entrance, but they're also throughout our landscaping area on the patio. This particular entrance, the slope is only a 1 in 20. If you're familiar with ADA, they're saying 1 in 12 is the minimum. And of course, a 1 in 20 goes way beyond the minimum so that you hardly even perceive that it's a slope, making it a very gradual exit when I come out in the wheelchair. The door is 36 inches wide. You can see the door design has circles in it. There's one at the top in the design of the door, one in the middle, and there's 3 at the bottom. Those are door peepholes. So Mark has his at 6'4". He can look out and see who's at the front porch. Mine is at eye level in the middle, and then Kiko can look out too. We have lots of lighting here for nighttime. We also have in the ceiling above the door a motion sensor, and I really appreciate that. Coming home from a cab at night from the airport, as soon as the cab driver comes up to the door with my luggage, the light goes on, I put the key in, and that's just a safer way to enter our home. Come on in. You can now see the hardwood flooring. It's a hickory. Underneath the flooring is a recycled rubber mat to make it softer on your joints. We have hardwood throughout the house as well as porcelain tile in the bathroom area, making it a lot easier for me to zoom around the house without any carpet. The only carpet are these area rugs right here at all the doors, just to pick up the gravel and dirt from wheels as well as people's feet. And these are commercial quality. They're very low and they don't move, so they're not a tripping hazard. Is this a scene you're familiar with, looking at these thresholds? Ours is only a 1/2 inch high so that I don't have to do a wheelie when I come or go. And also people aren't going to trip as they're coming in and out of the house. We have lever handle doors on the exterior as well as interior doors. Let's go in through the garage. As you're looking at the rendering, we have the 2-car garage here and then the one on the side. This is the construction photo of that 2-car garage from the front. We had the concrete installers geared very carefully. We said we don't want this garage poured in a flat way. It's got to have a slope to it because we do not want any steps coming into any of the doors in the house. Now, this was different for them. Usually there's a couple of concrete steps to get into the kitchen, into the living area. And what we wanted was a garage that had all 3 of the entrances to the interior of the house step-free. And we accomplished that by making sure it was engineered properly and that the contractors knew when they were pouring the concrete what they had to do. There in the center picture is a cross-section of that level threshold going from the garage into the house during construction. So let's take a pause here, Steve. I'd like to be quiet for a while and see if anything has come through. If it has not come through, this is your opportunity to put a question out.
Great. Yeah, we do have a few questions that have come in and lots of comments in the chat. One of the comments in the chat first was from Joan Green, who says, I'm astounded at how many senior living communities do not incorporate more features of universal design into new buildings being built. And I feel personally, I agree, Joan. I find that the senior living communities that are offering healthcare are doing a better job, but the one category that really needs to improve are these active adult, age exclusive communities. It just blows my mind at how they are building homes with thresholds to get in every door, and when they don't need to do that. So that's a comment from Joan. Let's see. Going back to Karen, she was, I guess when you get to the bathroom, you may be able to comment on glass doors and showers and how safe those are. Gene Poole, which is probably not his real name, he was hoping that you might make a comment about stair lifts. And then the other question here is, what is the best approach to use to encourage a builder to be willing to make universal design modifications to a pre-planned community? We have met with so many builders who don't know anything about universal design, and they're just not willing to learn and adapt. And then lastly, I know I'm throwing a bunch of these questions at you, but I want to recognize all these folks that are asking these great questions. Another one that just came in says, was it hard to find contractors and builders? Are you willing and able to share who the builder is that accomplished your design? So very active audience today.
Wonderful. Well, I am the builder. My husband and I were the builders. We had never built a house before, and we will never, ever build another one again. We were naive. We had hired construction managers, hired the architect. We had a huge team of interior designers working with us. We had over 200 sponsoring companies, and they're listed on our website. So with that, that's how we did it. We interviewed lots of builders and finally concluded that we need to do this ourselves. So we are the builders. It took us 32 months to build it. And this project was about a 10-year endeavor from the time we hired the architect in 2004 to the groundbreaking in 2009 to moving in 2012 to opening it finally with the landscaping and the basement being finished in 2014 so the public could see it. So we are the contractors. When we go into the bathroom, you will see there are no glass shower doors. We did not want that. We decided there's not going to be any doors or any curtain in that master shower. And you'll see that very soon in a few more minutes. We did not put a stair lift in. We put an elevator in. However, when we built our staircase to the lower level, we built it wide enough to demonstrate the width of a staircase. So a staircase stair lift could be added if an elevator was out of the question economically. So those are issues. Talking to builders, it's about market and it's about selling. And in this economy, builders are building like crazy. Remodelers are very busy. So we've got to get through to them to say you've got to build for the marketplace if you're going to stay relevant in today's building community. Also, I think we need to have some more legislation, some more building codes and requirements, as well as incentives for builders. Things have to change. And America is aging. We need more housing to support aging in place. And, so let's continue if we can and see what happens. Okay.
Absolutely. We'll take another break, but keep on going. And we got more questions that are pouring in.
All right, let's go in the front door. The first room you see is our powder room. We had put in this interior pocket door. Right now it is in the position that hides the toilet from view from the front entrance. The interior designer said, Rosemarie, I want to figure this out because I know when people come into your house, they're going to see that toilet. So we created a very innovative solution to put in an interior pocket door. Now that door can go back into the wall, whenever we need to have more space for someone in a power chair or someone who is there with a caregiver to help them in that transfer onto the toilet. You can also see on the wall, I can use my mouse here to showcase that. That's a motion detector. So when anyone goes in that room, the light immediately goes on and the fan goes on. So our guests don't have to fumble around to find the light and the fan. We have a beautiful grab bar here that is positioned, a phone here, toilet paper, easy for us to change that. Our toilets are all comfort height from Kohler. They're one of our biggest sponsors. And our toilets are 17.5 inches from the toilet seat to the floor. All of our hardware are the D handles, making that easier. So this is our guest powder room. Now let's go into the primary bathroom. Mark and I were very concerned about this one to make sure it was as close to the bedroom and connected to the master suite as possible. You can see these floor transitions between the hardwood and the porcelain tile. They're perfectly level. The pocket doors were used throughout the house. They save a lot of square footage. They're 36-inch pocket doors, and that makes it a lot easier for those nighttime visits so that we can close that pocket door very quietly and enter into the toilet facility. Here's Mark at 6'4", another view from that primary bathroom. We have heated towel bars, heated floors. We have can lights in the ceiling. We have glass block in the walls for the natural lighting. And then for all the lighting by the vanity, we have side lights. So universal design is also about lighting. As we get older, especially, we need more lights for our aging eyes. Here's a close-up of the vanities. The height of the countertop is 33 for mine and 35 for Mark. Now, we would have expected much more of a differential than 2 inches, but that's all it was. You can also notice on the plumbing, we have single lever handles on all of the plumbing fixtures. And then we have the open space here for my knees to come right under. We did not need to insulate the plumbing because I don't touch it as I go underneath. But had I needed, we would have put some more insulation there. Again, we can get the close-up of the hardware on the handles and the drawers for this particular vanity. We also put underneath Mark's side of the sink, there was a lot of storage there. So we had Shelf Genie was our custom sponsor that made this unit that pulls out so that I could get to all the items stored under the sink in the bathroom. They also did a beautiful job in the kitchen, making that space all accessible so it rolls out to me. We shopped at Kohler. There were a lot of toilets on display, but we did select one that is energy efficient in terms of water and was 17.5 inches from the seat to the floor. When you're installing toilets, put them about 18 inches from the sidewall so that when you put your grab bar on, it's positioned appropriately for grabbing it. Now, you may have cats and understand this photo. It's not Garfield on a bench here. Our cat, for some reason, thinks that the toilet is her watering dish. It was not designed to be comfort height for cats, but she figures it out. You can see the positioning of the toilet and the grab bar in that major primary bathroom and how this works out so well. We also, in an upper cabinet of that toilet room where we keep a lot of the health and beauty aids and toiletries, this shelf then just pulls right down. This was a sponsor, Revishelf, that provided this not only in the bathroom, but we've got them in 2 of the cabinets in the kitchen. Our major tub is a wonderful Whirlpool tub with integrated grab bars. We also have a shower nozzle here that's handheld, and we have a single lever faucet. The height of this deck is 19 inches from the floor to the top of the deck so that I can roll up in my wheelchair and transfer, slide right over, and then I kneel into the bathtub in order to enjoy that experience. Again, the glass block giving us lots of natural lighting. The shower, no door, no curtain, nothing. We just said this makes it easier for everybody. It's a 36-inch wide door. It's a curbless shower. The size is 4x7. We can both be showering at the same time. The floor is heated. We got great lighting from the glass block. And at night, we've got LED cans. You can see here the station for Mark with the grab bar and the soap niches on that wall for him. This is the second unit. This is where I transfer from my wheelchair onto the shower seat. It's an adjustable height shower seat. We also have built-in soap niches. And if you'll notice on the shower, we've just highlighted this little ergonomic U shape. I think it's more ergonomic. It's just so much easier for me for hygiene purposes. So this is 4x7, giving me plenty of space to park my wheelchair, transfer onto this shower seat, then unlock the wheelchair and roll it to the doorway where it won't get wet. When it's time to get the wheelchair back, I unlock it, wheel it back to the shower seat, and the transfer is easy. That's the reason there's no doors. That's the reason there's no curtain, because we wanted to be very mindful of my independence in that shower. So no door would be helpful as I needed to get in and out on my own. Here is during construction with the plywood that was reinforced, as well as the 2x8, which is this section here in red. And then the soap niches were put at an appropriate height. This one had to be cut for obvious reasons and edited. Mark gave me permission one day to take a photo of him using that grab bar. He uses it a lot, and we've had a lot of people touring, and they said, oh my gosh, especially those who had been pregnant before, the women, oh, I wish I had had this grab bar while I was pregnant. That would have been such a wonderful stabilizer. And other women, they're saying, boy, that would be great when I'm shaving my legs. So realistically, now you may be wondering, Rosemarie, you have no door on this. Mark is in there showering. Don't you have water all over the place? No, we have a channel drain. No, we have a slope. It doesn't matter if a little bit gets out. We have this simple automobile supply, a little squeegee that we bought. And if needed, we can just squeegee some of the sprinkles out, but it really doesn't matter because we have slip resistant tile throughout that bathroom area. We've got water going down that channel drain very quickly. So occasionally he'll use the squeegee and maybe just tidy that entrance a little bit, or we'll just send in the cat back and she'll take over from there. So the safety features, here's that slope floor and the drain on the rear wall with that slip resistant tile floor. So we have been very pleased with what we've done. It engineered very well. All right, we have another pause for reflection. Steve, you're on board.
Well, like I said, they were coming through fast and furious before. And let's see, the question that came in, this is really good. Did your universal design improvements serve to change design rules and regulations to be inclusive of aging in place? Have you been involved with any initiatives to, whether it be local or national, to get those involved? And let's see. Okay. And somebody asks, could you explain the in-person tours and when they begin? And how highly available were the universal design plumbing supplies, such as the shower drain and the shower seat? And let's see, a question again, sort of asking about, are you working with CMS or any powers that be to dictate so much of what can and cannot be, non-glare flooring, things like that? And there was another one here that I was going to say, she's going to ask about your source for the pullouts and drop downs. Every kitchen should have these. in them now, in my opinion. And having the ability to pull out shelves and pull down shelves is very important. And I'm going to finish on this one here for this little round, because I've got a personal question for you, and so did this person. They ask, pets are members of the family. How old or young is your cat? How old is your cat?
Our kitty cat is now 8 years old.
8 years old. And I have a question for you, Rosemarie. You had mentioned that you were an author before you had your accident. What was your profession before the accident?
My book was The Healthy Indoor Plant. I'm a horticulturist. And don't you feel this humorously ironic that a horticulturist gets hit by a tree?
Oh boy, I'm glad you've got a sense of humor. Okay, well, I hope you've got it.
Let me answer these. Let me answer these in due time. Have I changed rules? I mentioned that I did change the lead U.S. Green Building Council. They added 4 points for visitability and universal design. And that was way back when we were in discussion and getting our application together. So yes, I was successful in getting 4 more points on the lead application. I don't know if anything that I've done has impacted any other laws or rules. I have spoken on behalf in our state legislature for visitability legislation and funding of visitability. Visitability is to be able to visit someone in a home with at least one no-step entrance and at least a small toilet room that someone in a wheelchair could use. So I have been an advocate politically in Ohio, and then won a big victory for the U.S. Green Building Council. Our plumbing drain was from Quick Drain USA. Our Kohler was all of our other plumbing. The shower seat was from Hafele Hiwi. All those products were available. We attended the International Builders Show at the time in Orlando for 2 consecutive years. We also had Mary Jo Peterson, a world famous interior designer with kitchens and baths, that led the way to say, Rosemarie, let me introduce you to some of these manufacturers. So nothing was customized. It was all products that were available at the time that we had to select these products. The pullouts were from Shelf Genie, which is a franchise company. Shelf Genie is listed in our website under the contributor tab. You'll see all of our contributors in alphabetical order. They custom designed the pullouts under the bathroom vanity sink and under the kitchen sink. Those other pull downs, the one that you just saw in the toilet area, was from Revashelf. And we have lots of Revashelf products. If you aren't familiar with that company, go to their website. They have lots of accessible features that are great for building and remodeling. Am I working with CMS and other powers to be? Not directly, but indirectly. I'm on lots of national task forces with the National Council on Aging. So I'm working as a role model, as a voice whenever I can on these national events and speaking all over the country. So maybe I've made a difference. Maybe somebody from CMS is listening. Let's go on to the kitchen. This is my favorite room. I'm the cook. Mark is the cleanup guy. We have a center island. It has 3 different heights. The low height is 30 inches. That's where I do my food preparation. I roll underneath very easily in the wheelchair. The taller one at 40 inches is where Mark likes to do his salad prep. And then we have the other as the third as a 35 inch. You'll see there's also electric outlets on the center island and lots of storage underneath. As you're looking at the general design of the kitchen, you're looking at the layout, and I'm going to be sharing with you some of the particular pieces. So at least you see the kitchen from a wider viewpoint, looking at it from the great room on. Now I'm going to take you more directly to the kitchen components. You may be asking, what did you do differently when you hung the wall cabinets? We hung them a little lower. Normally, the space between the base of the wall cabinet and the countertop, you check at your house. Normally, they're 18 inches by standards, but we went to 14 inches so that I could at least reach the things in the front of this shelf. So that was a difference. Lowering the counters also was another difference. Normally, they're 36 inch. We compromised at 34. Mark is the cleanup guy, so he's using the sink and the dishwasher. I'm using all of these counters and the cooktop. So we decided 34 inches, we'd both be happy. We also put in glass in these doors here, and we found out later that this helps someone with dementia, so they know what's in those cabinets. They don't have to open a door that's just wood and try and figure out what's in there. They want a mug, they can see the mugs and they can open that easily. So those are some dimension differences. Here is the Reva shelf. Again, this is the same one you saw in the bathroom. Now we put it in the wall cabinet above the dishwasher because I was not able to reach it before, but now I can. The dishwasher is raised, as you can see here, and we're going to see another close-up of that in just a few seconds. The toe kick was important to me. The photograph on the right was taken at my previous house showing the short toe kick. I was scratching it all the time with the footrest of my wheelchair. It wasn't tall enough, and I couldn't get close enough to the cabinets. This made a difference for me. So these are 9x6 toe kicks. These were standard. They were from Craft Made. We did not customize it. Craft Made knew that the accessibility piece of toe kicks was important. So we just bought their Passport series and installed them in our kitchen. Windows, these were from Marvin, they're casement windows. We picked them because the locks were reachable, as you can see here, from a seated position. And the cranks were easy to open. They're also very green, and you can open them all the way. Very easy compared to a double hung window. I like casements a lot better. As we go from the casement window to back to the kitchen now, let's look at the side hinged oven. This was a unique piece from Gagano so that I could have better access to getting things in and out of that oven. As we look at my positioning at the cooktop, you can see I've got knee space underneath. All the controls are in the front. This was a Gagano product, just as was the oven. And then I've got a pot filler here from Kohler so I can put water into any of the pots. Going into the kitchen sink, again, you can see I've got plenty of space for my knees and the single lever faucet handle. And the dishwasher, we raised it about 16 inches from the floor, giving everyone an advantage. Mark doesn't have to bend down as far, and it's easy for me. So all the people on tour have really commented, why aren't more dishwashers raised like this? It was just a design consideration. Now you may say, all right, Rosemarie, did these things cost more? So you want to do it now or you want to do it later? This was data that someone let me share regarding, is a lever handle, door handle any more costly than a round doorknob? No, not necessarily. Light switches that are easier because they're rocker style. Widening a doorway, putting it in as a 36-inch door from the beginning versus tearing it out later and making it 36, you've got over $1,000 a door to make that modification later. And the cost of a 36-inch door compared to a 28-inch door, what is it, a $5 or $10 differential per door? It's ridiculous. Let's put in wider doors so that we've thought ahead. And looking at elevator shafts, why not put in on a 2-story home some closets that are stacked? So you have a closet on the first floor and a closet on the second floor that have been designed to hold an elevator should one need to be put in later. So you can see that let's do things now instead of doing things later and spending a lot more money. So I'm very privileged to be known as a consultant. My husband also joins me at the table in our kitchen. We bring in many builders, architects, consumers that are building their own home, or a developer that's got an apartment complex or a condominium complex, or we'll travel to Texas for a client to take a look at what they've got. We're happy to do that to prevent from preventing any cost and things that you're regretting that you didn't do from the beginning. I'd be honored to speak at any conference. Please keep me in mind. My website is rosemariespeaks.com. I invite you there. The one that I'd like you to watch is my TEDx. It's all about the house and all about the lessons that I learned after my injury. So I invite you to rosemariespeaks.com and click on the videos to see my TEDx. There we are. My contact information is here. Rosemarie at rosemariespeaks.com. Be happy to have a further conversation with you. My book is the Universal Design Toolkit. I'm going to give you a bonus today. There's a free chapter listing the universal design features of my home room by room. So just go to udll.com and just click on the free chapter, and you can use it while you're taking that virtual tour of our home. If you'd like to purchase the toolkit, it's available as a PDF that comes packaged with 16 videos, replays of webinars for $97. If you just want the printed book, it's at Amazon for $49.95. So your choice, you can buy them as electronic or printed, or one of each, your choice. So I know we are about out of time, but I have no deadline in terms of finally stopping. We have stopped on time, but if you want to continue, I will continue.
Absolutely. And we've got a bunch of questions, and I'd love to bring Ali Sultani, who helped put this program together, back on the screen there, and make sure that the audience knows that a lot of the questions, especially if you're in the DC metro area, a lot of the questions and concerns that you may have could be solved by contacting Ali and Handy Pro. But let's dive into the some of these questions. And I've got a couple of people who have raised their hand. I'm gonna click on Eldorna, and sometimes that's a mistake. But Eldorna, if you intentionally wanted to ask a question verbally, you can jump on there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, my question is, are there any universal design homes in the Maryland, Washington, DC area that is open for touring, that you're aware of?
Really?
No, I don't know any open for touring.
Is there a database of universal design homes that you know of, or demonstration homes?
No,
Okay.
there's no data that I am aware of.
But have people got in touch with you to sort of replicate your project? Because it seems like every community should have something like this.
Yes, there's been many people that have borrowed some ideas from us. I did have one family that wanted to replicate the entire house, taking the entire plan and building it on the beach in California, which I was shocked. That never happened, but they were interested in that. We've had over 3,000 people touring our house in person. And I can't tell you in terms of the virtual tours, I mean, it's worldwide. We've got someone in Mongolia recently that wrote me saying he's building one in Mongolia using our home as a model for him. And he wants it to be a living laboratory and open in Mongolia. So I was shocked.
Great. Let's see. So let me get through some of these questions here, and then we'll wrap things up. And Amy O'Donnell says, any knowledge of being able to use Medicare, long-term care funds, or other insurance support, and or to get tax deductions and credits on labor, materials, consulting fees for making these types of capital improvements to a home?
Yes, you need my book. There's a whole chapter on that.
Oh, wow. Also, for those that are in Northern Virginia, last week we had a discussion on the Virginia Medicaid waiver program, and those funds can actually be used for improvements like we're walking. Ali, in DC, I believe you're part of a program that has some funding for for some universal design improvements, the Safe at Home program.
Yeah, there are a lot of programs out there. It depends where they live, and in general, Medicaid will pay, as you had a discussion last week. Any state that they live, most of the state are the same. So we are a Medicaid waiver vendor as well. So they will pay $15,000 every 3 years for home modifications under people that they are under Medicaid. Medicare are very different. It depends what kind of plan that they have, if they have a long-term disability plan or not. And also, if they're not, for example, qualify for Medicaid, there are programs that every county offers based on the level of their income. If they're not qualified for Medicaid and they have higher income than the Medicaid threshold, there are funds to them. And as you mentioned, in DC, there's a program called Safe at Home. They pay up to $6,000 for home modification. For that, it's $6,000 is not a lot of money to do like universal design, but it will help them a lot with putting stair lifts, grab bars, handheld showers, toilet risers, to keep them safe in their home. So it's a good grant that they can get. But I'm more than happy to talk with whoever wants, and where they are, they can reach to us. And I'm going to put again our information in the chat box. If anybody has any question, please feel free to reach out to us. But we know most of the programs in the area.
Great. And I'm glad you brought up affordability, Ali, because, and what I want the audience to know is that obviously, Rosemarie, I mean, this home is beautiful and luxurious. And as you said, it took a long time to build, and you got contributions from suppliers and what have you. Oftentimes, you could see where some people in the audience might be like, oh, geez, well, this is cost prohibitive. Hey, perhaps building a home from scratch is cost prohibitive, but think about those wonderful pull down shelves, which are extremely affordable, and lighting and the various things that your home showcases, looking at the individual pieces of it. There are a lot of affordable improvements that you showcase today.
Yeah, and then to your point, Steve, if someone building a house from scratch, most of the things that Dr. Rossetti point out, they're not going to have extra cost. For example, if you are building a shower, it doesn't cost you more if you want to make it barrier free and curbless, or you want to put a curb there. But some stuff that like pull down cabinets and some other things may cost more. But if someone build a house, or as Dr. Rossetti mentioned, if you need to do it either today or tomorrow. You have to get it done. So if you do it the first time correctly, it's not going to have too much more expense on you when you do it. So for example, if you put a 28-inch door or you put a 36-inch door, the difference in the price, probably it's less than $100 in material, and the labor would be the same.
Great. Okay, let me rip through these here. I love this one because you brought up your previous profession, The Secret Life of Plants. Have you read this amazing book?
No, I don't think I have.
All right. And then somebody says, this is an amazing story. What a great accomplishment. Thank you so much for sharing. Carol Ragsdale says, hard surfaces are beautiful, but it may make it difficult for those hard of hearing. What do you suggest?
Well, that's very important in terms of the acoustics. And we probably can admit, if there's one thing we would change about this house, it's the acoustics, because of so many hard surfaces. There's a lot of echo in this, especially the great room. And we could have done a better job in terms of the acoustics with how we treated that ceiling and putting some acoustic material on that ceiling to help it. We brought in specialists to evaluate it, to test it, and to make recommendations, but we've never made any of those because it's just Mark and I, and we're fine the way it is. But when we have a lot of people in here, that cocktail party effect, there is some echoing between the conversations of all the people in that room.
Great. And let's see, I'm not sure if Maribel intentionally raised her hand, but I'm going to click that button. And while I do that, I'm going to also ask the question from Paul Nasto. from your experience when modifying a home, what are the top threes and do's and top three don'ts? And we could probably do a whole hour on that, but maybe you could share some insights in that area.
Well, let's look at make it visitable. And there's three things there. So how's that? Make
Okay.
the house visible with at least one entrance that you can get into, meaning there's no step there and the door is wide enough to get in, and that there is a room on the main floor that serves as a powder room or a toilet room so that people can come and visit. That is not only for the visitation purposes, but thinking in terms of if there is a need to retrofit a home temporarily because someone's coming home after hip surgery, can you quickly convert one of the rooms on the first floor into a bedroom while they're recovering? At least you've got that ability if you hadn't put a master suite on the first floor. I highly recommend master suites on the first floor, however, so that you have more dignified and private recovery time in your own home. What not to do, many people are putting in curbless showers, but putting in center drains. I don't like center drains because you've got so many different angles that are making the water flow into a center drain. When I transfer from my wheelchair and I lock that wheelchair in place, realizing it's got 4 wheels on it, not all 4 wheels are touching the floor, because now the floor has some angle to it because of that center drain, and it can slip away. So I like the channel drain. It can go in the front of the shower. It could be in the back of the shower. What you saw on my photograph was the shower in the primary bathroom where the channel drain's in the back. We also have a curbless shower in our lower level, and we put the channel drain right at the entrance of the shower. So those are some things, do's and don'ts.
Great. And John Hinkle says, many long-term care insurance policies have a benefit to make the home more accessible friendly. Typical is a monthly benefit, one time. For example, install grab bars, install ramp, replace toilet, etc. So for those that have long-term care insurance policies, that could be an option. However, I think we will all say making these improvements before you're on the way home from the hospital is the most ideal choice. Joan Green says, this isn't a question, more of a comment for all of those of you in the audience who are involved in building new assisted living communities. Please consider adding automatic doors so people on scooters or wheelchairs can access their bathrooms. I'm astounded that new assisted living communities in our area that are gorgeous but have not done this. Good suggestion there, Joan. Let's see. Someone says broken hips and broken bones and frequent falls in our senior family members often experience at home. So what kind of floors might have or offer some kind of cushion and protection for falling injuries? You talked about the non-slip tile, but any thoughts on when you fall, surfaces that could prevent the injuries somehow?
I don't think that's what we should be thinking of as the surface of the flooring, because a fall is very complicated and impacts a lot of parts of the body. You fall, you're going to hurt yourself. I don't think it matters if you fell on carpet, on a cork floor, on a porcelain floor, or hardwood floor. It's still you fell. So let's take another look at preventing falls. Let's take a look at all these throw rugs and throw them out. We don't want throw rugs. Let's take a look at the furniture placement. Let's take a look at all the cords and tripping hazards that people just don't realize. They've got extension cords and electric outlets, and they've got pets that trip them and fall. There's so much going on when you assess a home as an occupational therapist, and you find all kinds of ways that these people can trip and fall. So I wouldn't focus so much on the flooring surface. I'd focus more on the whole environment. Lighting is also critical. Having motion sensor lighting in our house makes it so much better. And night lighting that's on all the time, so that anytime I get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, there is a nightlight constantly in that toileting area. And if I want to go to the other bedroom at night because I'm not sleeping well, there's night lights throughout that house to guide me.
I love it. Joan Green also asks about various technology that's in your home, and specific also, do you utilize like the Amazon Echo or any of the voice activated or smart home technology in your home? I know it was created a while ago, but have you begun to implement some of those things?
Yeah, we have the Amazon for home entertainment purposes with voice activation. We also have our thermostat set up so that we could use our smartphone to adjust the thermostat away from home if we needed to, but we haven't found that to be important. I keep teasing Mark whenever I'm traveling. I said, someday I'm going to mess with you and change the thermostat. And then I'm going to call you and say, are you getting a little cold in the house lately? So we could put in some of those controls for lighting, but we just said, why? Why are we wanting to do that? If we want a light to come on, there's a light switch, turn it on. And anytime we go into certain rooms and areas of the house, the lights come on automatically and shut off automatically. So we put that in as simple motion sensors.
Okay, great. Amy, I have to agree with you on this one. She said, raising the dishwasher, genius. The first time that I saw that as a universal design improvement that helps people of all ages and abilities, I was blown away by that as well, Amy. Somebody else comments, linoleum floors, what a great memory in our grandparents' home. Thanks for taking us down the memory lane there. Someone makes a comment that there are special occupational therapists who teach people how to use wheelchairs. Again, a great suggestion. And I really have found that occupational therapists are a valuable component in this universal design space. Would you agree, Rosemarie?
Oh my goodness, yes. They are my partners here. The home modifications and the assessments, they're great. I used them all the time I was recovering for many reasons, for all my life skills, to figure out how to continue living and be as independent as possible. And then when I came home from the hospital in a wheelchair, having an occupational therapist in my existing home to say, well, here's some things we can do temporarily, but this house just didn't work for us. Okay.
And then I've just got one more question on the list, and I knew it was going to go long today, but I'm also going to unmute Eldorna again. She might have another question, but the last question I got on my list is here. We missed the answer about when the in-person tours will begin.
Anyone who's in Columbus that sends me an email that you're coming to town, just let me know. And Mark and I will look at our schedule and see if we can arrange a private tour for you. We usually have group tours around 20, 25 people, but because some of you are out of state and maybe have another purpose to be in Columbus, just let me know and I'll see if I can arrange to just have a private tour for you.
Great. And Eldorna, I think your mic is open now. Did you have a follow-up question?
No, that was a mistake. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Great to hear your voice. And I think we're going to wrap things up. I'd like to give Ali the chance to say some closing words. But before we do, I do want to recognize Louis Tenenbaum for a couple of reasons. You know, he was the first person that introduced to me the concept of this flex suite, of having a den on your first floor that could easily be converted into a first floor bedroom. And I thought that was just a great idea way back when. But now Louis is part of the Homes Renewed Coalition. You can see a link to his organization in the chat. I recommend that you all get involved with that, because the idea that we can influence public policy to adopt benefits to us making these improvements, whether they be tax or otherwise, is something that we really need to do. Think about all the benefits that the energy efficient aspect of the building world offer in terms of rebates and tax credits and things like that. And doesn't it really make sense that universal design would have the same benefits? So check that out. And Rosemarie, thank you so much. Ali, would you like to say a few closing words? And again, I want to thank you for your support with helping us get Rosemarie here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Rossetti. It was great information, and it's aligned with what we do. And as you mentioned, occupational therapists are the architect of this design, and we take advantage of them as well, and we use their opinion. And again, thank you for the opportunity for us to be a part of this discussion. I cannot have a better week because I was featured in a VGM Live at Home yesterday in the newsletter and Andy Pro, and today I'm co-hosting Dr. Rossetti. So it was a great week, and it's good to close the week with these two great achievement kind of thing. And please, anybody needs our help. Our estimates are free. We don't charge for our consultation. We are certified to consult with you about your universal design and aging in place. So if you have anybody that you'd like to refer to us, please do. My email is very easy, Ali, A-L-I, @handypro.com. And our website is handyprowdc.com. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you, Dr. Rossetti, for all you do for the community.
Thanks, Dr. Rossetti. And I'm going to be in touch with you about your next appearance, because I know you've got a lot of topics that you can talk to our audience about.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for hosting me.
You bet.